Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
All right, great to have you with us on the show today. We'll get into the NFL playoffs in a little bit. There'll be a couple of things that we'll get to. Dates mean something. The prospects that compete in the College Football Playoff National Championship next week have until January 24th to petition for special eligibility. NFL teams will receive a list of names the day after each deadline, and they then have an additional 72 hours to revoke. The official deadline to opt out is February 7th.
Got it.
All right. So now there's certain guys that declared, like Jalen Reed declared. Well, yeah. Jalen Reed's out of eligibility. He played 4 years.
Devontae Thomas, I believe, was out of eligibility.
Out of eligibility. And Jalen Kimber out of eligibility. They all, but they just wanted to write something nice to the fans.
Yeah.
They had, those were their choices.
Yeah.
In other words, that's what they can do. Now, the transfer portal for Penn State closes tomorrow.
Okay.
It's 5 days after you play your last game.
That you can
it would be tomorrow at, I don't know, midnight. I don't know if it's midnight or not.
Going into Wednesday, it'll be closed.
And then Texas will be Wednesday. All right. So that's how that works. For example, you notice how Carson Beck last week declared right on the 5th day after declaring for the draft.
Yeah. Declaring the draft, got told no, and then immediately afterwards said, I'm going back to college. Oh, look, Miami, $4 million? Yes, please.
I mean, that's but he's coming off an injury. I mean, that was his draft stock. He needs another year because of the injury, which he suffered in the SEC championship game against Texas, and he had surgery. So, that's the original date for the draft. For those, the soft window ended on January 6th. And anybody else, let's see, I think today might be the day
to declare.
It might be 5 days. It might be Tuesday to declare for the draft, and then the day you can pull out. So they got until tomorrow to declare for the draft. Tomorrow's also the end of the portal, and that's where it is. And then the day that you can pull your name out of the draft is February 7th.
It is decision time, basically. You only have a couple more days to really decide on everything.
So people are wondering about what's going to happen with Nicholas Singleton and people like that.
Yeah,
we'll find out. I mean, this is all part of the process, and you just want. All I want is what's best for them.
Yeah,
that's all I care about when it comes to that. There are players. I mean, evidently Cam Miller's name is in the transfer portal, but they get King Mack back.
Yeah.
All right. So the King Mack thing.
I was going to say because he leaves for Alabama and then returns.
Look, that was, of all the guys that went into the transfer portal last year, that one bugged me. Right? And I don't know what. And this is what bugged me about it. He was going to play a ton.
Yeah.
Like a lot. Now, I don't know if there was an NIL deal on the table. It made it more enticing to go to Alabama. I understand that because you have to take care of yourself, take care of your family. That part I get.
Sure.
Right? The playing time part, you went through the spring, you're like, God, he looks good. He played really well. And I was surprised. I mean, that was, of all the ones that one surprised me. I'm like, really? Then, of course, Winston got hurt. Now, he would have really played.
I would say he would have been starring in that slot. Because we saw Day-Day Lane play a lot there. We saw a bunch of Tyrese Mills this season. We saw different packages used, but that would have been King Mack's slot for him.
Right.
And now, of course, Winston is going to the NFL. Jalen Reed is going to the NFL. So, look, he's going to be playing.
I mean, getting him back is is huge.
He immediately starts with this team.
Yeah, but it's huge. He knows the staff. He knows the players. He knows Anthony Poindexter. I can't begin to tell you how big that is to get him back. And that's why you don't burn bridges in this. You notice when a player leaves, how critical am I ever of a player that leaves?
Never. I don't think I've ever heard you critical once.
Right, exactly. You don't know how it's going to play out. I want them to do well. I want them to succeed. If they can make some money, that's great. Right? But in this deal, you don't know. You don't know. And now people say, well, I heard you praise Kyron Hudson when he was at USC. Well, I praise him because
he played incredibly.
Because he's really a good player.
You've praised a lot of players because they've been good at playing the sport they're playing.
Right. So it's like, I'm sorry, it has nothing to do with that part of it. But when they leave, you're like, there's some fans, he's dead to me. I'm like, okay, great, okay.
You praised Ashton Genty. I don't think he's transferring to Penn State. He's going to the draft.
He's going to the draft.
Yeah.
And he should go to the draft.
Anyone saying, every player you play is going to come here. Spoiler, no.
And you want to know why? With Genty, I know he ran for over 2,500 yards this year. I think he ran for exactly 2,600.
26 on the dot.
Right. But it's last year, not this past season. It's a year ago as to why he should go to the draft. Want to know why? He was a terrific pass receiver for them last year.
Yeah.
Right, out of the backfield. In other words, he can do a multitude of things. That's why with Singleton this season showed everybody he can do a multitude of things. You want to watch him do blitz pickup, he can do it. You want to see him as a receiver? Improved exponentially as a receiver. And, that's what you're looking for in a back in the NFL. It's all you have to have the ability to run, but can you pick up a blitz? Can you be an effective receiver out of the backfield? Are you one of those people that you say things to once and they get it? And that's what you're looking for. So this is that time of the year where roster construction, it's a different roster construction. Remember, starting this year is the 105-player limit.
Yes.
Well, all 105 players can be on scholarship. Right? Penn State's already reached out. They've got a couple of receivers, Devontae Ross, Kyron Hudson. Now you got King Mack coming in. Right, among others, an offensive tackle, a defensive tackle. You got a lot of things going on right now, and there are more transfers that you're going to host over a period of time. You have more room for them. Now, the bothersome part of this is the walk-on part. That is very, very bothersome. There needed to be more foresight put in, and I'm hoping the American Football Coaches Association at their convention can come out and say something about the walk-on player, because first of all, 105 is not enough.
No.
In college football. You need to have, let's just pick a number, 120. You need to. You need to have 120. Why? You need to be able to do practices the right way. You need to do practices the right way.
Also, look at injuries. The number of players who end up getting hurt throughout the season. Everyone's is banged up, bruised, broken. Like, you need live bodies who can come in and help practice and do these things.
But enough of Rodgers issues. Let's.
Jeez.
What? Right?
Thankfully, I'm not a Jets fan.
They didn't say mentally broken. Right? That's Jerry. So, and there's some people that are no longer on the roster, like, Tyler Johnson's no longer on the roster. Mekhi Flowers is no longer on the roster. I got it. But that's tomorrow at midnight. I think that's the deadline, because it would be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So 5 days.
So Wednesday morning we'll have a full list of everybody, and then we'll be back on air.
Well, there's a
Thursday.
48-hour window
of things coming through. By Friday, we'll know. By Friday, we'll have a full list.
The end of the week.
Yeah. We'll have a list on Friday when we'll chat about it again on these airwaves in terms of what the roster looks like.
Just so everybody knows, that's about out, because there's that 48-hour.
Paperwork has been filed, but has not gone through properly.
Computer, they hit a button. Seriously, all you got to do is hit a button. You're in. It's not difficult to do anymore.
Yeah. And in Carson Beck's case, took a little bit longer than he thought he would.
Well, but you know what? He puts his name into the draft. All right. And, of course, he's not going to get a great draft grade because of the injury question. Okay? So at that point, he says, okay, let's make an adjustment. What else is out there? And it wasn't like, hey, I'm going to pick Miami because on a whim here in an hour. They obviously were talking about this for a couple of days.
And his girlfriend goes to Miami, and so he's got a connection there, which helps. You can't say it doesn't help.
Every time you turn around, you're bringing up stuff that says,
that thoroughly affects it.
What are you doing? You never know.
We found out an hour after he got in, his girlfriend put up the TikTok of them putting up the U together. Like, what do you think is going to happen?
People are disgusting.
We're disgusting.
I'm kidding. I'm joking. I'm kidding.
Dick Girardi, Joe Putnam, and I braved the cold in Illinois last week. You were down in Miami. I don't want to hear it.
It was nice. All right, so that's where that is. As for the game, I know people. I think people cooled down a lot since the game. Because when you're that close to playing for the national championship, that close, it's gnawing, right? You're up 10-0. They come back, take a 17-10 lead. Then you show the guts and you come back. You tie the game up. You get an interception. You take the lead. Both teams showed so much guts and so much fortitude in the back and forth of this, which was so impressive. The play by Sutton was just phenomenal.
Extraordinary.
Singleton's 3 touchdowns, the way Catron, and again, another 200-yard rushing game against another team that has a great rushing record.
Abdul Carter played with one arm and still was Abdul Carter.
Abdul Carter
forced a fumble.
I mean, it's all going to be based on need, but he'll be one of the top 5 picks.
He's not passing 5.
Right. Now, he could be 1. Again, that's why I said
quarterbacks.
I don't even know who has the first pick.
The first pick is the Titans, and they need a quarterback. The Browns need a quarterback because of Deshaun Watson being out now. The Giants, who knows? So you've got 3 teams that probably need quarterbacks, but are Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, whoever else is in the draft, the Quinn Ewers of the world, are they intriguing enough to these teams? He said he's going to the draft. But my point is
Quinn Ewers.
My point is, are there quarterbacks you're I actually think they're worth taking in this top slot? Or do you go
Quinn Ewers?
Or do teams say, I just want the best player? And imagine you're the Browns, you say, I would love to have Abdul Carter right alongside Myles Garrett. That'd be fun. With those two together. Or Travis Hunter's there at the top.
Get everything with Abdul Carter is just going to be based on the quarterback need.
Yeah.
Because he has I would draft him before Travis Hunter. I would.
I think most people would.
That's me.
Abdul had one arm, could not play many other spots than he did, and still had 5 tackles, a sack, a tackle for loss, a forced fumble, could have had more, almost had a fumble recovery if he had half an arm on the other side. He was... People could see it. That was the biggest bright spot throughout that game, was people being oh, he's really good at football.
Okay. Now let me talk about Drew for a moment. Okay? When you're the quarterback, there's going to be more on you. I mean, and every fan base in this playoff, there's going to be 11 of them, and the other 10 feel exactly the way you do right now. You get there, and when it doesn't go your way, the letdown is tremendous. The Texas fans right now feel exactly the same way you do. Exactly the same way. Okay? The Georgia fans feel exactly the same way you do. Right? The only 2 right now fan bases that are jazzed up are the Notre Dame and Ohio State fan bases. Okay. All right? Because that's just the way this playoff works. Now, perspective. Penn State's never had a season when they won 13 games. Let's go back to August. what was the top priority for everybody that I talked to, whether I was making a speech in Jacksonville, Daytona, Lancaster, right, Pittsburgh, all the places I went, Philadelphia, everywhere I went in the state. What was the number one thing? Harrisburg.
May I guess? Get in the playoff?
Get to the playoff. Not only get to the playoff, but host a playoff game. Over and over and over and over again. That's all I heard. Nobody said, I'd love to make the Big Ten championship game. Nobody said that. Okay? It was all about the playoff. Well, they got to the Ohio State game. It didn't go well. They missed by 6 yards. The interception in the corner of the end zone where, look, Igbenogson just makes a great play.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a bad throw by Drew at all. He just made a great play. Sometimes the other guy does something really well. Difficult for most fans to believe, right? Yeah. But other guys can make big. That was a big time major league play, right? And then of course the other goal line stand. All right, I got it. Okay. I said in the post game show, and this will be one I'll take credit for because I'm the one that said it, right?
Yeah.
They're in a 4-game playoff to make the playoff. Right. Well, they won all 4 games. Now, don't give me the mumbo jumbo about, well, they should have beaten those teams. Please, it's time to be an adult. Okay, winning's hard.
Minnesota was a tough game.
Okay, but for example, Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame. I mean, when you start playing around, okay, there are no undefeated teams. Okay, do I think Ohio State's better than Michigan? Yes, of course I do. But did they win the game? Nope. And Michigan did it without a major league quarterback.
They didn't have a quarterback. They didn't have their top first-round pick. Like, they were missing everything.
But you see what I'm saying? It's hard to win games. Okay, so don't give me the mumbo-jumbo. Penn State could not afford to lose any of those games. If they did, they would be in the opinion pool, and now it starts getting to be a game. But they won them all. Right? Then they had the ball, with Ohio State, they had the ball with a chance to tie the game or even take the lead if they went for 2. That was the goal line stand. Ohio State, to its credit, closed it out. Right? They get to the Oregon game. Again, Penn State at the end got the ball to tie the game. They got the ball. 2 minutes left. Got the ball. Okay. Right. Well, then they made the playoff. And then they dominated SMU. Then they go to the Fiesta Bowl. And they dominated Boise State. And Drew threw 3 touchdown passes in that game. And those were 3 of the finest throws I've seen. I mean, those are major league throws. The throw to Warren in the back of the end zone for the first one. The one to Evans, right? Right, where Evans beat him by a couple steps, but he put it right on the money. And then the last one that put them in back, and gave them the cushion again in the back of the end zone to Warren. Those are 3 phenomenal throws.
That last Warren one is an NFL quarterback. That is an NFL level touchdown.
All 3 of those were NFL level passes.
Like, he put each ball only where his guy could get it in a spot where he knew they could also get it.
On the 1 touchdown drive in the Orange Bowl, they drove down the field. Drew was 3 for 3 for 48 yards on that drive. He finally did something he had not done in the previous 11 playoff quarters. He hadn't thrown an interception in the previous 11 playoff quarters. Is it a bad pass? Yes. Okay, it is. He'll be the first to tell you. He was trying to dirt the ball. And again, because he wasn't outside the tackle box, he couldn't just take it and chuck it into the seats.
He had to get it near a guy.
It'd be intentional grounding. Gray makes a fine play. Did Drew have his best game? No, he didn't have his best game. But, like I said, on the 1 touchdown drive, he's 3 of 3 for 48 yards. So, you are not in this game without Drew Aller.
Yeah.
You aren't in the game. I'm talking about the whole journey. How he played at West Virginia, the job he did at USC, right? All these games, you aren't there unless he's your quarterback. You're talking about 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. You're talking about 65%. I had said it in the off season. If he could be about 65, 66%, and 3-to-1 touchdown to interceptions, I said it'll be a phenomenal year. Well, guess what? He's 66% with 24 touchdowns, 8 picks. Sorry, but I said that in April.
It's almost like you've done this before.
But I'm saying, though, but that I've got standards as to what I'm seeing out there. Right? They aren't in this position in the national semifinals if he's not the quarterback. Just like they're not in this position in the semifinals without the offensive line. They're not in this position to be in the semifinals without the running backs. They're not in this position to be in the semifinals without Tyler Warren. Not in position unless you've got Abdul Carter, Denai Dennis Sutton, Zane Durant, who's coming back, Devon Thomas, Kazai Izzard, Kobe King, Dominic DeLuca, Tony Rojas, right? That secondary. They're not in a position, Ryan Barker, without Riley Thompson, Tyler Dzansky, without any of them. All the reasons they got there was because of these guys and more. And Drew is one of those guys.
Yeah.
He's not your quarterback. You are not in this position. Okay? And you can't forget that. They won 13 games. Everybody's like, got to make the playoff, got to host. Well, you made the playoff. You hosted. 106,013 showed up. Right? And they won easily. Right? Did he make mistakes in the SMU game? No. 0. Okay? Boise State threw 3 touchdown passes. Fine. This game, it was more of a struggle. Okay?
Spoiler, competition was better as you moved on.
But guess what? He's a way better quarterback than the year before. He is a young man of character. He's the kind of people can rally around. Right? I can't say enough good things about him. Does it mean that he plays perfect all the time? Of course not. But what quarterback does? I mean, Will Howard in the Penn State game. Well, Will Howard's this, that. Will Howard in the Penn State game threw a pick 6 and fumbled the ball out of the end zone at the 1-yard line. Right? And he also made some good plays. The touchdown pass to Ibuka was a heck of a throw. Right?
Yeah.
But don't sit there and go, well, yeah, Will Howard. Will Howard threw a pick 6 and fumbled the ball out of the end zone in the game. Okay? Don't be selective in memory here. Don't be selective in memory. Dylan Gabriel struggled his backside off in the Rose Bowl against Ohio State. And he had a great career and a great season. But in the Rose Bowl, he couldn't breathe. Okay? Things are, everybody be thankful for what you have. Yeah. I'm thrilled beyond words that Drew Aller's coming back. Right? And was it a tough night? Yes, it was a tough night. He would tell you it was a tough night. Right?
For what it feels like to me, as what I've been able to see and glean, and especially on social media following the game, I think, as you mentioned, it has calmed down now. It is the hope that kills you.
Well, and I completely get the.
I know.
Please, everybody, I understand the emotions in the moment. I've got that completely. I don't want an apathetic fan base.
Yeah.
I want a passionate fan base. All of you are passionate, right? Right? And sometimes it takes 24 to 48 hours to finally breathe and realize how far they went and that he's a part of that.
Yeah.
So I do understand that. Right? But sometimes in the moment, you're like, ugh.
In the moment, it's the hope that kills you. And that was the problem for me, was that as soon as the game ended, the hope turned to anger towards Drew. And it was it was way out of line. There is never a time to hate on anybody. But after a game, there was no person who probably felt worse in this world than he did in that moment.
Of course
and
not.
Everyone, fan base wise, on social media, certain media members who I'm grateful to not be working with, were saying, he's the problem. It's his fault. How dare he? And all these things. I'm sitting here, I'm just like, what are you doing? All season you praise this guy. Everyone has a bad game. Justin Herbert in the first round of the playoffs. He's played incredible all season. He throws 4 interceptions.
Well, look at, Baker Mayfield and Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
Herbert threw 3 interceptions all season. He threw 4
in a game.
Baker Mayfield threw 3 plus the fumble last night.
Like
Jordan Love struggled his backside off.
Yeah. Seeing people flip in the way they do is part of the issue in sports.
Well,
and it's something that has gotten worse with social media.
Well, it's not just social media.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's only added fuel.
A little bit to it. Okay. But it's something I brought up 7 years ago. And it was the day the New Jersey Supreme Court ruling came down. I said, this is going to change opinions on sports. There are going to be harsher evaluations by fans because while some fans are just passionate about what's going on and will be negative, positive, whatever, and the pendulum will swing back and forth because they're emotional, they love their team, they want to win. I've got that. But there's another segment out there, too, and I have no idea how big the percentage is, so please.
It could be 0.01, it could be 2.
It could be 30% that put money on the games now because you can legally do it. Then all of a sudden, that guy lost me money.
You know who's got it right now? Who's feeling it? Because of that? Out of all people, Saquon Barkley. People are so... And it's literally a headline on ESPN, which angers me to no end, that he got an opening in the end of the fourth quarter, broke free, and slid down to end the game. Ice it. He did the correct thing to do in the moment.
It is the right football
bettors
thing to do.
Are pissed because how dare you not score a touchdown when we thought you would?
Okay.
It angers me so much, Steve.
No, but see, when you make a winning football play, and that's a winning football play because now the clock, in conjunction with the first down, is more important than the touchdown. And he does the right football thing for his team that puts the game away and wins it because that's all they have to care about is the winning part of it. Margin is irrelevant to teams. Okay, this is also the NFL. You're not trying to get style points. The playoff thing, it's all there's no there's no style points. Or I'm going to run the score up on SMU. You want to know why we're going to run it up on SMU? Because maybe we'll get a better seed in the next one. No, you just need to win the game, right? And that's what the playoff is all about. You need to win, and he makes a winning play for his team, and because of the money part of it, the gambling. Hey. Excuse me, that's why it's called gambling. You put the money down. If you lost it, it's your fault.
Nothing's guaranteed in this world.
Right. But I'm saying, though, if you lost the money, it's your fault.
Yeah. And that's the thing. People, it's like...
You put it down.
Let's say he gets tackled instead of sliding, and he doesn't score it. Will they be mad at him then? No.
What if he fumbles?
Yeah, exactly. It's absurd.
Right?
So,
what if he fumbles, Green Bay gets it back, or he fumbles and they run it all the way back for a touchdown? Now all of that is like, what are we doing now?
Or he scores, and what happens if then Green Bay somehow miraculously for a kick return gets the what's it called? The onside kick, scores first play, onside kick, gets it again, scores again. Like what happens then? Like, yeah, it seems improbable, but heck, anything's possible at this point. Like the Commanders turn their season around because Tyreek Stevenson is gloating to fans, comes over, slaps the ball, goes into the arms of a Commanders player. He scores a touchdown. They get in by the chinny chin chin into the playoffs, beat the Bucks on a divisional doink, as Mike Tirico called it, and find their way here into the second round of the playoffs. Like anything is possible. So chill.
Well, as Saquon Barkley said after the game, it was not tempting to try and score a touchdown. No. It's first down, you win the game. So it's get the first down and get down. He did the same thing. I think the Ravens with Lamar Jackson have only lost one NFC game. And ironically, it was a game in the Meadowlands against the Giants. Same thing. Giants are going in. Barkley takes the handoff, slides at the 2-yard line because it's a first down, ends the game. And it's the right football play to make.
It is you get yourself down, like Warren in, was it Minnesota?
Minnesota.
Where he just dropped. He was like, I'm going down. I'm not going in the end zone. I'm going down here.
I got a first down, and he went down right away. Ended the game. That is winning football.
Yeah.
It may not be winning for you.
But it's winning for the team.
But guess what? You're the one. That's why it's called gambling. Okay?
Saquon Barkley and Tyler Warren are concerned about making sure their team has more points than the other team, not how many points they have compared to the team. They need one more. That's it.
Okay? In other words, I need to play at home next week against either the Rams or the Vikings. Time to slide.
Yeah.
Right? Jalen Hurts takes a knee right after that.
Game
it's
over.
Okay? This is not like, oh boy, I'll tell you right now, I guess I'm a 14-point favorite. I think I better get to the end zone and make sure it pays up. The heck with you. You're okay. Their job is to go back in the locker room and everybody go, hey, way to go, man. Great winning play. Right? It's all about making winning plays, about winning the game. It's not about margins. It's not about parlay bets. It's not about anything else. It's called gambling for a reason. And guess what? Hey, if the action it makes the game more exciting for you, so be it. That's your money. You can do whatever you want with it. But be prepared that not everything is going to work out the way you want.
It's almost like when you gamble, you don't always win, Steve. It's crazy.
And the house wins a lot.
Yeah, it's said the house always wins.
For anybody, have you ever been to Las Vegas? Anybody's been to Las Vegas, those places are pretty nice, aren't they?
Yeah, they are real nice. They got real nice shiny things everywhere. And spoiler, usually it's stated if you go in with $10, you come out with $8 to not be shocked. You can go up to 25, you can go down to 2. It's gambling. It's literally a gamble to do this.
Let's take horse racing. Let's do something that's completely different here. Horse racing. Dick and I talk about this all the time. Dick Girardi. You're betting on the actions of an animal.
Yeah.
Okay? You don't know if the animal is sick, not in the mood to run, not to...
Got a hurt leg. You never know.
But you don't know. Doesn't have it that day. It's an animal. You don't know. All of a sudden there's a foul call because the animal drifted in the other. It's an animal. You're betting on an animal. Let's go to the Greyhound track. You're betting on an animal. What are you doing?
You know what I enjoy betting on? If there'll be a blackjack in a basketball game. That's what I like betting on, Steve.
We had that moment yesterday. Freddie DeLeon. He gets to 21. And I said, 21. I looked at Dick. He goes, yep, he's had a great game today. I looked at him. I had mouthed the words. I go, blackjack.
Yeah.
He goes, what? I said, blackjack. He goes, huh? I said, blackjack. He goes, oh. He says, I missed the blackjack.
I did the same thing with Rickenhouse for Illinois, I believe. Whoever I have no idea. He made a lot of threes in that game, and I said during a commercial break it was blackjack, and he was like, oh, it was, and then never brought it up again. And I was like, Dick,
it's the opposing team. You don't do blackjack for the opposing team.
Not good
never.
Never
do it for the opposing team.
Okay.
Okay. Don't. Okay. Now there's certain things that you call and you call evenly, and everyone knows how I call the end of the Notre Dame Penn State game. I mean,
it's a big game.
It's a big game, but it's a big game, big moment. So you kind of felt like it was the right thing was to make sure you called the big game, the big moment.
You called the moment, not the team.
Right. So.
Exactly. So Penn State's football season has now come to a close. As we mentioned, the portal is open. Players are leaving. Coaches are leaving. Things are changing. The next time you can see Penn State play as of this moment, currently slated, is April 26th, I believe, is the blue-white game. So we've got a little bit of time until that game comes up. Since we've, I believe, been on the airwaves, by the way, the press box has come down. So you were there for that. You got to witness it.
I got to MC it. I think what did I say at the end when everything, like, people were done cheering? And I said, now where do I work?
Yeah.
The way I will say this, Penn State has done a great job since that went down of showing animation of what
it's going to look like.
It's going to what the temporary is going to look like, and that's and they did a good job with that. And you can see the progress they've made. The press box is down, and they've got the upper areas, that upper area beyond the concourse down.
They're cranking it out.
Right? So now they're going to take and they're going to build up the one area, platform it, and then put 3 sets of stands on those platforms. And that area where they're doing that is going to be a temporary press box. That's where we're going to be. Right?
Yeah.
That's where we're going to be.
It's the cool kids club, I believe is what they say.
Well, now the broadcast, when they finally finish this whole thing, there will be a broadcast level in it, which other stadiums across the country need to emulate, because it looks to me like they're, quote, going to do it right. It's just a level, right? It's a level.
Yeah, one.
Okay? And they've got other stuff built around the level. And on that side, you're going to have TV, the 2 radios, and I think the coaches' boxes are going to be over there too, or something like that, along with camera base. That's it. I think the media is going to go over to the east side permanently. I believe the way it's going to go. I think.
Well, we'll find out over time.
Right, but so that's what they're doing, the temporary part of it.
And by the way, for those wondering, so the Blue White game is April 26th.
Yes.
The first game of the season will be Nevada, August 30th. So those wondering when Penn State football does return, April 26th, Blue White, August 30th will be the Nevada game. So a little bit of time to go. The roster will get changed around. Coaching changes will happen. A lot will be moving in parts, will be shaken out. We'll, of course, discuss them on the show as they do happen here. And moving to the pros, because we can't not discuss the pro level of football.
That's right.
The NFL playoffs were this weekend. We've had 5 of the games go on so far. The 6th game is going to be going on tonight. Minnesota versus the Rams.
It is the second time in the history of the NFL a playoff game has been moved.
And, of course, was moved due to the LA wildfires going on. The Cardinals, it's taking place in Glendale, Arizona, where, of course, Penn State just was. It's going to be in the Cardinals Stadium. The Cardinals, by the way, I want to shout them out. They sent, I believe, 2 of their big 777s to LA, picked up the Rams family staff.
The Cardinals have always had a rap as not being a great organization. And then this comes up. And they have acted like the greatest organization on the planet. They sent 2 planes. The 2 planes were sent to bring the Rams, their families, and their pets.
I believe 6 dogs and 2 cats made the trip out.
Right.
I think is the number.
To Arizona. I'm assuming they're staying in Scottsdale.
They're staying in Scottsdale. Apparently, the Cardinals basically opened up their facility and said it's yours.
And the Cardinals gave the Rams their facility. Not only to give them their facility, they put Rams logos up at the entrance to the facility, the whole thing. The only other playoff game that was moved, by the way, was not because of any tragedy. It was the then Boston Redskins and the Green Bay Packers in the 1936 NFL Championship game. No, I did not attend it.
I was going to ask, because you commentate on that game.
No. And because of poor ticket sales at Fenway Park, they moved it to the Polo Grounds in New York. And when the game was over, the Boston franchise moved to Washington. Okay.
Yeah. Jeez.
And that's, okay, this is completely different. So I know I'm supposed to be in Los Angeles in 4 weeks.
Yes. I know Joe Putnam is there right now. Yeah. They played against USC, and their game against UCLA got moved from Pauley Pavilion down to Long Beach State. So they're playing there on Wednesday.
Yeah, because it's in Westwood. Brentwood, of course, is nearby, and Brentwood's, it's getting a little dicey there. It sounds like the key for everybody out there, and you've had 16 people lose their lives. So, okay, awful. You have had people injured, awful. They have physically lost everything in terms of their home, their belongings. I mean, awful. But they haven't lost everything. They're still alive to rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
They're still standing there. It's when you lose somebody, the permanence of it is just, you never can get them back. So to all the survivors out there, thank God you're still with us. Okay, you haven't lost everything. You're still here with us. And people are going to help and donate because that's who we are, to help them get back on their feet. The firefighters, they're not just there, but the people who have come in from other states.
And Canada sent.
Okay, they've been 12 on, 12 off, have been unbelievable doing it with the multiple fires out there. And the smoke, I know they were using the Rose Bowl as a first responder staging area. They're using Santa Anita Racetrack, which is on the other side of the San Gabriels, as a relief center. And it is a tragedy beyond words. But when I hear the expression, they've lost everything. No, if you're still here, you haven't lost everything. And if everybody in your family and your friends are still here, you haven't lost everything. You lost your physical belongings, which is awful. Your memories, your home. I mean, that's awful. But you haven't lost everything. And there's going to be a lot of people who are going to pitch in to help you somehow get back on track, because that's who we are. We do this all the time as a nation. We may fight left and right with each other, but we're one big family in this country. People will help them, right? Even though like, I didn't vote for him, her, him, go like that. But when push comes to shove, Milton happens, people donate. Katrina happens, people donate. Hugo happens, people donate. I'm talking, those are natural disasters. This is same thing here. Something happens, people jump in and want to help. Hopefully there's enough that comes in to help them, because there's going to be donations of clothing and food and things like that initially, but hopefully there's enough help in rebuilding, because what's happened out there, it's such an incredibly beautiful area. I mean, it is an incredibly beautiful area, and it's. I know I'm going to have to. I'm going to see it in 4 weeks, and hopefully, at some point, it starts to. They'll be in the process of starting to bounce back. I'm hoping. Again, we'll see. We'll see.
For now, we have the distraction of football.
Yeah,
which is a big distraction and help.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they'll do that. I don't know what they're using SoFi for. Maybe I'm not sure if it's being. I'm sure it's being used for something.
Do not know at the moment.
But again, one of the issues with SoFi is, in a situation like this, it's open air on two sides. It's got a roof, but it's open air on two sides, which means, of course, all the smoke gets in there.
Yeah.
So, and plus, here's the other part. Remember, they need all the people that will be working the game. They need them to work out there. EMTs, firefighters, first responders. I mean,
they
police,
can't spare people.
They can't spare anybody. Penn State ice hockey. I do want to mention this. Tough, hard-fought game. Lost to number 1 Michigan State the other night. I think it was an empty net goal late, 6-4. Came back, won the shootout. Right? 3-2. Beat them. Big win. They got Canisius coming up on Friday night. I might take my grandson. I took my grandchildren and my son and my son-in-law. I took my daughter, my son, my son-in-law, 5 grandchildren to the Penguins game Saturday. The seats were phenomenal. We had a phenomenal time. It's the worst game I've ever seen the Penguins play. They lost 5-0.
It's because you were there, Steve.
No, I mean, like my grandson looked at me and says, "I just wanted to hear the horn once." Right? I don't blame you. I was taken aback at how bad the Penguins played. And then I think they came back yesterday and won, right? Did they beat Tampa Bay yesterday? I
believe they did.
It's like, picked the wrong day. Right? But we'll go back.
Yes.
We'll go back.
And speaking of the playoffs still going on, we have not discussed everything yet. So, of course, the Minnesota-LA game is tonight, which will decide the latter part.
Plays the Eagles.
Who plays the Eagles, who's going to be in Philadelphia.
Washington gets Detroit. Kansas City gets Houston. Buffalo gets Baltimore.
And going from east to west first, Eagles, we already discussed them. The Commanders win on the double doink. Jaden Daniels played incredibly that entire game. I watched most of it. He was incredible. Yeah. That Bucs defense is legit, and he played well. And I know I'm not a Commanders fan, but seeing Terry McLaurin as happy as he was kind of brought a smile to my face, because he had been through way too much with that organization, and he had just pretty much been sitting there as the one bright spot for them, and he had seen some bad teams and bad play and
could he
nothing.
Have left? Yes, he could have left. He didn't leave. Countless quarterbacks, coordinators,
ownership,
head coaches, different owners, the whole deal. And that guy made one clutch play after another, including the fourth down play to put them in front.
And he was lights out, and seeing Commanders fans and everyone else shout him out.
Really, really, really good player.
And then you go to the AFC. Buffalo beat Denver. Denver got off to a hot start, got a touchdown fast, and then it was one way. It was all downhill from there. For that Buffalo team, just ran it down their throats. And James Cook and Josh Allen, Ty Johnson, they can pound the ball. They're big.
Well, again, where did Denver score? Opening drive off the script. Then as soon as they got off script, Buffalo adjusted to what they were doing, and they couldn't adjust back. And they finally got into the speed of the game. It changed everything.
Yeah.
The fourth down play to Johnson in the back of the end zone. I mean, that's not Johnson's forte.
No.
As a receiver, makes a great catch, kept his feet in bounds.
Kept his knee in bounds, I think.
And you're talking about the kind of throw that Josh Allen makes now. When they played Baltimore earlier this year, Baltimore beat the daylights out of them. That's one of the few games this season where Buffalo was like, oh man, we really got beat. I mean, because they beat Kansas City, but they didn't beat Baltimore.
No. So it is going to be a very interesting game to watch. The Ravens, by the way, did beat the Steelers 28-14.
By the way, note to George Pickens. There are certain people on the face of the earth that should not talk. He's one of them. And
why is that, Steve?
Okay. Did you watch the last regular season game in Cincinnati?
I did not.
Okay, I did, because I got to Philadelphia in time. Shoot-around was over with. We went to dinner, and I watched the Steelers in Cincinnati. I thought it was going to be a good game, and it was a good game. Pickens was targeted 4 times in that game. 4 times. Okay? Caught 1 pass for 1 yard. The other 3, he flat out dropped. I don't mean difficult plays. Dropped. Dropped? I mean, I'm talking ball here, dropped. Ball here, dropped. Don't talk. We've got problems with the offense. Right? He's out there talking about, we got this. George, you're one of the problems. You're one of the problems. You need to grow up. You need to be an adult. You need to be somebody that goes out, and makes plays. If you handle it the right way, that when you do have drops, there's going to be an understanding of George is a team guy. George is not a team guy. George is about George, not about Pickens here. Gets into fights with defensive backs, gets into fights with fans. What are you doing? I appreciate the passion. I appreciate channeled emotion. But I don't appreciate him at all. Is he a great talent? Yes, he is a great talent. But he's not that good. They're playing Cincinnati. Okay, do the Steelers need the game? No, but you're playing the game. He was terrible in that game. He's yelling at fans. He's yelling at fans on the bench during the game. What are you doing? Here's one for you. You want to know why they're yelling at you? Catch the ball. Last I checked, it was part of the job description. And then he's getting up there saying, well, George Pickens isn't happy with it. Guess what? I bet the quarterbacks aren't happy with you. You get that one over I think he got called for offensive pass interference on one against Baltimore, right? That was going to be a big play.
I think so.
Right? What are you doing? You should not be talking negatively about your team and your offense when you are part of the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, people did not climb on Pat Freiermuth for the drop at the end of the Cincinnati game. Why? Because Pat Freiermuth literally, until that pass, caught everything that night. Play after play after play after play, and then finally in that moment, he had a drop. Okay? Well, why wouldn't they say anything about Freiermuth dropping excuse me, because you repeatedly dropped the ball. You had one catch for 1 yard. Okay? He helped keep you in the game. You did nothing to keep them in the game. Nothing. The other night, he did make a big catch down the sideline, right? Which, he has the ability to be the game wrecker every game. He has that kind of ability.
But he wrecks the game in the other direction,
He wrecks the game in the other direction. And then guess what? Then he gets up and starts talking negatively about the offense. We all know the offense is struggling and all thing. I got it. But you're part of the problem. Okay? There are certain people where you're just sitting back as an organization that don't talk. Please, don't speak. You're not helping us here. Don't speak. You need to work on you. Okay, I don't need you working on the offense. I need you to work on you. Mm-hmm. He's got to be better mentally the way he approaches the game. Right? Better concentration, fewer drops, less disengagement with defensive backs verbally, less disengagement with fans. He's got to lock in and do his job and play. I mean, if I'm a different organization, do I trade for him? No way. No way. I do not trade for him. I don't care if I've got the biggest glaring need on the planet and I absolutely need a receiver. Okay, I'll go find somebody else. I don't want that guy in my locker room.
Do you want to know what Georgia receiver I would trade for? Ladd McConkey. He was incredible.
He's a pro's pro.
He made some great plays. He was a bright spot for the Chargers, who Justin Herbert, 14 for 32. I'll just say his stats before we get to the rest of it. 14 for 32, 242 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions. And watching this game, as someone who enjoys football, one pass was through the arms of Ladd McConkey. His hands got up. It was a little too high, a little too fast. Through his arms, picked off. That was the pick 6, I believe. He had another one through the hands of another receiver. It was just like everything could go wrong did go wrong for them. They got back in the game. They then get their field goal or their extra point blocked and returned because Cameron Dicker, instead of catching it going down, bats it into the arms of Ross, and Ross runs it back for 2.
Yep,
it was
a crazy time.
Everything that could go wrong did go wrong for them. But Ladd McConkey, there's a reason I told you at the start of the season, Steve, I named my fantasy team down to the McConkey tonk. He's a great player. And he made that 86-yard touchdown catch was great. He got up, high pointed it, caught it, ran through the Houston defense.
But you know what? I mean, we talked about Terry McLaurin. George, watch Terry McLaurin. Now, does Pickens have maybe more over-the-top potential than McLaurin?
Sure.
But McLaurin's out there as a pro's pro. Watch Justin Jefferson. Okay, Jordan Addison tonight. Pros. Cooper Kupp. Okay.
Puka
Nacua. Pro's pro. And it's not like he didn't have other pros around him in Pittsburgh. Van Jefferson's a pro. Okay, Mike Williams is a pro. He had other examples around him of people who are pros that play his position. Yeah. Watch how Terry McLaurin plays. Right? He finds spots. He makes plays. He doesn't complain. Mike Evans. Mike Evans last night. Mike Evans made great plays. I mean, he and Lattimore got into it a little bit from the old NFC South, NFC South days. I got that part. That got played up too much last night. Right, it's typical TV, like, oh yeah, we're gonna play up a
storyline.
It's like storyline. That's adorable, great. And it's like, you don't need to do that. Okay?
You know who's a great cornerback, by the way? Last note here before I wrap on up. I don't think he's been discussed enough for reasons unbeknownst to me. I believe he's an All-Pro this season. Derek Stingley Jr. He had really 2 picks. Player. He basically read both routes that were being run for his 2 interceptions. Read them literally on the one pass. I forget who it was who was going down the sideline for the Chargers. He just stayed with him the entire time. Yeah. Herbert threw it where he could only throw it to get the ball to his receiver, and Stingley just slowed up and then all of a sudden bolted, stops, catches it, and it's like incredible. He was incredible defensively for the Texans. There's a reason they took him 3rd overall in the draft. Wow. He's awesome. It's like the kid from Toledo, Mitchell. Quinion Mitchell. Okay, with the Eagles. What a great pick. Great pick. He helped that defense so much. Cooper DeJean. Great pick. Yeah. Now they're going to have to go with that with Kobe Dean. He's out. He's out for the season. So that's a big loss for them. But like, those are all pros. Right? When do you see Mitchell taunt the opposing receiver? He just knocks the ball down, goes back to the huddle. Yeah. Right? George Pickens has got to somehow get himself together, because right now he may think he's the most desirable receiver in the entire National Football League. Well, if I'm a GM, I don't want him in my organization at all. I'll figure it out. Juju Smith-Schuster's available, I'll take him. Is he as talented as George? No, I'll take him. At least he'll be a professional in my locker room. Right? He has got to somehow get himself channeled. And I don't know if it's possible in this league to get somebody to channel it. But he's got to. We'll find out. Because look at Michael Thomas had a real problem in New Orleans, and he was as talented as anybody. But I'd take Chris Olave over him any time, even though they both went to Ohio State. Right? Olave's a pro's pro out there. Thomas had success and never understood how to handle it. Then he got hurt, and the whole thing is just right. You gotta somehow. Justin Jefferson, when is he ever a problem? The only problem he is for opposing defenses. He's not out there yapping at fans. He just plays and scares the daylights out of you every time you're on defense. Okay, here he comes. Where's he going? And he'll make catches, plays, boom, plays over, flips the ball over. There's a lot of great examples for this young person to look at and say, you know what, I got to be more like that. I'll be a better player when I do. Because right now he's not the best he can be because he doesn't understand how to channel it.
Thank you for listening to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, a 7 Mountain Media production. Come back at 11 every weekday for analysis of the latest happening in the sports landscape. From college football to European soccer, Steve and Kyle cover it all on Sports Talk with Steve Jones.